Greetings, YouTube. Once again, happy Saturday. The scope of the changes of the game forever, thanks to the Cavalier Crystal, are far and wide, and I think there are some changes, both good and bad, that we have not even thought of yet or seen that are going to play out in the next several weeks and months of Marvel Contest of Champions. There are some really positive things about this new crystal, particularly the price. You don't have to be a millionaire or even somebody with a really good job anymore to afford a game-changing crystal, and I've already seen several screenshots sent to me via the Line app of people who don't spend any money on the game and yet for 200 units have a very rare gamble at a 6-star champion. That's incredible. I mean, to have somebody who's even a free-to-play player who can grind a month in the arena and get a couple thousand units and then turn those couple thousand units into a 6-star champion. I don't care if it's the worst 6-star champion in the game, and some 5 stars. I mean, that's fantastic, and I don't want to underscore that. Of course, that also means if you do have thousands of dollars to spend on the game, you can get 6 stars to max rank over a period of time. Who knows? I mean, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but if you certainly need 6-star champions and you buy enough crystals, you are guaranteed a certain amount of 6 stars over the course of time. And certainly, like I said, even if they're the worst, that really is going to impact your roster. The bad is that Alliance War, as I said yesterday in a video, is going to get harder because more summoners are going to have easier access to better defenders, even better 5-star defenders and certainly 6-star defenders over time. And so be weary of that. And then you combine that with the beta test of the Alliance War Season 10, changes for the map, and who knows, Alliance War, which is probably, I think in fair estimation, the worst part of this game right now because the rewards went from being the best to, in my estimation, not worth the Alliance quest rewards, especially when you compare the stress and the time versus an Alliance that goes all in for Alliance quest versus Alliance War. It's lagging behind big time, and then you consider how you only get 1,000 Tier 5 basic catalyst fragments per Alliance War Season's crystal, whereas now you can get more than that per crystal for free with your glory if you just hoard your glory in the glory store for Tier 5 Tier 5 basic catalyst fragments. It becomes a very difficult task to get excited about spending a bunch of units. And then those are also units that instead of spending on potions and revives and boosts, you can spend on Cavalier crystals. I mean, isn't it a lot more fun to pop 10 of those things than buy a bunch of Alliance Quest potions and revives? So I actually have a feeling that maybe if you're in the master bracket and you're looking to have less competition, one of the positives is that you might have less competition because more people might say, you know what, I just want to pop crystals and have fun with this game, and I'm tired of the master, even platinum grind, so I'm going to go down to a gold or heck, even silver Alliance, sort of semi-retire, have fun, play casually. That's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But one of the things that I think is worth noting, and really the purpose of this video, is how now half of the arenas in the game are worthless. That might sound harsh, but why in the world would you grind for a 4-star now when you know that you can't bring that 4-star into Act 6 and beyond? I know that there are still people who are very upset because they spent, 10 hours, maybe less, maybe more, or so in the Heimdall 4-star basic arena a while back so that they could bring in Heimdall for Act 6 for synergies, and that all that time was completely for nothing, as we now know that Heimdall is going to stay smack dab in your roster bench because you can't bring him in. So, half of the arenas, for those of you who have completed all the progress up to Act 6 in story mode, are worthless. Yes, you can still bring synergy purposes in for things like, variant difficulty or special quests, champion challenges, etc. But if you care about story mode, which I think so many people do more than anything in terms of the future of the game, you just aren't going to have the motivation to grind for 4 stars. But even taking the 4 stars out of the discussion, if you know that you're used to, say, being a huge arena grinder in the 5-star featured arena, and suddenly now, instead of having to spend, an Odin worth of arena refreshes, you can buy 15 Cavalier crystals and have a shot. Instead of grinding for the new 5-star champion, you have a shot for a 6-star champion. I just don't see why more people wouldn't say, for the time, the effort, and the enjoyment, why not just spend those units on Cavalier Crystals over arena refreshes? So all of this is to say that I think one of the positive unintended consequences, or maybe it's intended, who knows, of Cavalier Crystals being in the game and the Act 6 shift is that arena scores should come down, particularly the amount of 150 people over the course of the game that are going to jump into the 5-star featured arena. But I think that those scores could come down even more, and every time scores come down, that benefits the average player that doesn't have enough time or money or whatever to spend 3 days of their schedule in a arena. When scores come down, everybody wins. And I think this is the perfect time because we saw a gradual progression from just a 4-star featured arena like the Hella one you see in front of you to eventually, and I guess maybe it's on the far right side since I haven't jumped into it, a 4-star basic arena, which is the most popular arena this week and one of the most, if not the most popular question in my live streams this week. Prof, what score would you put up for Omega Red? So, yeah, if we had a 5-star version of this, that would be perfect. Because not only would that split some of the score, especially depending on who the champion is in the 5-star featured arena, but that would give more people access to a 5-star champion, the same exact effect that we're seeing from the 11% drop rate of 5 stars in the new Cavalier Crystals. I also think that it's worth mentioning that these milestones could really, really use an update. It still amazes me. In an age where we are grinding every week for 5 stars and 6 stars, 5-star shards particularly getting quite generously, I might add, from the login calendar every month. We don't have to do anything, especially toward the end of the month, but just reap those awesome rewards. But when you look at the milestones, we're still just getting premium disappointment crystal shards. And now that we can't bring in any champion below a 5-star, there is not a single champion in that crystal that's going to matter to you in story progression because they're all completely worthless. You have a 100% drop rate chance of not getting a usable champion in X6 from a premium. Now, I still love premiums because I still think they're an amazing source of free gold and ISO. Gold because you can sell a lot of that ISO when it's about to expire for gold, and that's how I have such a crazy Scrooge McDuck-like amount of gold. And everybody always asks me, Prof, how do you have 75 million gold? Well, most of it, I would say, is from selling ISO, especially the ISO I get from duplicating like 4-star champs, for example, from my inventory overflow. So that's the secret to success. The arena really is the secret to all success. But if you want champions to progress faster in terms of their 5-star progression, if you want summoners to get more 5 stars quickly, there should be better milestone rewards across the arenas, but particularly the 5-star arenas. And I also think if you're going to do 4-star arenas now, which like I said, most people don't have any incentive to that are the quote-unquote in-game community because you can't use them, there should be some 4-star shards in those milestone rewards as well. The premium shards and how that's supposed to be some kind of bonus draw is just completely outdated, and it really doesn't match what Kabam says their goal is, which is to progress the game into having, and I hate this phrase, but people use it all the time, so I'll say it, 5 stars are the new 4 stars, 6 stars are the new 5 stars. I think more than ever that is very deceiving. I would still say that most of my 6 stars are never going to be ranked up, even if they are top tier champs. The sacrifice of resources to take a 6-star to rank 2 versus a 5-star to rank 5 are still laughably different. And the power of a 565 Blade or Stark Spidey, I know some people said, well, I would never take like an Archangel to rank 5 because Neurotoxin is Archangel's best attribute and you don't need Neurotoxin at rank 5 to be amazing. That's totally true, but still, I would say on average, I would take an Archangel to rank 5 before I would take most 6 stars to rank 2. So I'm just saying that to say that 5 stars are not going anywhere, especially given how Kabam and their quote-unquote commitment to balance, very Thanos-like, is refusing to release most top-tier champs right now as 6 stars, and they would much rather give us a second version of Cyclops and a featured crystal than they would even, say, give us a Quake as a 6-star, which would be amazing, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that anytime soon. So my question to you, YouTube, among a couple, is what do you think the new milestone rewards should be in the arena? What would entice you, especially if you're somebody watching this that doesn't normally grind in the arena because you know it's just kind of a soul-crushing, mindless zombie-like drudge? what would entice you enough to jump into the arena? And then also specifically, do you think that it would entice you more if Kabam at some point in 2019 actually opened up the top milestone for, say, especially this 5-star featured arena here? Because we know that you have to be in the top 150, ranked 2 to 150 to be exact, to get the 5-star featured champion. If they did what they do for the 4-star featured, which is to make it percentage based, whereas you can see from this Hella arena, instead of the top 150, you have this nice 1 to 10% for shards, but then you also have even more so rank 2 to 800. 800 people instead of 150. Even if they made it 300, right? And I think that would probably be the compromise. Still keep the 4-star at 800, maybe even take it to 1,000, who knows. But if you changed the overall rank reward of getting the 5-star featured to the top 300 instead of 150, boy, the scores would go down in ways that I think would shock a lot of people. So we need a 5-star basic arena. It is time. The Cavalier Crystals, I think, have demanded the evolution of this, and I really appreciate the feedback and everybody who has suggested this. It deserves its own video. I finally had a chance this Saturday to record it and do the amount of time and research and effort in the bullet points I see in front of me on my notepad to make this video what it deserves, and I look forward to your feedback. As always, thanks for watching and supporting my Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel.